You know, usually when I'm doom scrolling through the morning feed, it's just this wall of noise, politics, ads for things I definitely don't need.
Right, the usual chaos.
Exactly, it's numbing, but every once in a while an image just stops you. It completely cuts through the static.
I think I know exactly which one you're going to mention.
You probably do, because if you've been online recently, you've seen this photo coming out of a zoo in Japan. It's this tiny, tiny baby macaque. His name is Punch, and he is clinging for dear life to this massive, orange, fluffy IKEA plush toy.
Oh yeah, the Iran mama.
That's the one. And the internet, predictably, just melted down over it. And I mean, it is incredibly cute on the surface, but looking at it, there was something else there. It didn't just feel cute, it felt heavy.
Heavy is a good word for
The
it.
way his little fingers are gripping that synthetic fur, it looked desperate.
That is a really sharp observation.
Mm.
Because what you're reacting to and what millions of people felt viscerally when they liked or shared that photo isn't just a cute animal video.
Real-
You are watching a live-action, real-time demonstration of a scientific breakthrough, one that fundamentally changed psychology about 70 years ago.
See, that is exactly why we're doing this, because to me, and probably to most people sharing it, it just looked like a sad monkey with a toy. But you're telling me this is a psychology textbook coming to life.
It really is. What we are witnessing with Punch is a case study in the difference between merely surviving, just keeping your heart beating, and actually living.
Wow.
It's a story about why we love, why we crave safety, and how a $20 stuffed animal might literally be the difference between life and death for this little guy.
That is a massive claim to hang on a polyester toy from the bargain bin.
I know, but it's true.
So that is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to unpack that claim. We need to figure out how a plushie from IKEA bridged the gap between total abandonment and social belonging for Punch.
It's quite the journey.
It is. We're going to talk about the viral story, obviously, but I really want to get into the weeds of the science. We need to rewind the clock to the 1950s, to some pretty controversial experiments that explain exactly what is firing in Punch's brain right now.
It's this fascinating intersection of modern viral culture and hardcore evolutionary biology. It proves that some needs are just universal, across species and across decades.
Well, let's start with the subject. Punch-kun. What is his actual story?
So Punch is a Japanese macaque. A lot of people call them snow monkeys.
Oh, like the ones you see in photos sitting in the hot springs in the winter?
Exactly those. So he was born at the Ichikawa City Zoo in Chiba, Japan, relatively recently, July 26th, 2025.
And the start was, not good.
No, not at all. Immediately after birth, his mother abandoned him. She completely rejected him. And we have to be clear here in the wild, that is a death sentence.
Because they can't fend for themselves at all.
Right. Primate infants cannot thermoregulate. Well, they obviously can't feed themselves. Without a mother, they die in hours, maybe days if they're lucky.
But this is a zoo, so the humans stepped in.
Right. The keepers intervened immediately. They hand-reared him, bottle-fed him, kept him warm. They essentially ensured his biological survival.
Which is great, but...
But, and this is the crux of the problem, raising a monkey like a human baby creates a massive deficit when you try to convince him he's actually a monkey later on.
I can imagine. He doesn't speak the language. He doesn't know the rules of the playground.
Exactly. And that crisis point hit around mid-January 2026. Punch was about 6 months old by then. The keepers decided he was physically healthy enough to be integrated back into the macaque troop.
Right, because you can't keep a monkey in a nursery forever.
No, they need their own kind to develop properly.
I saw the clips of this initial attempt. It was, honestly, it was hard to watch. It was not the happy Disney reunion you'd hope.
It was gut-wrenching.
He looked completely lost. There's this one video where he tries to approach another monkey. He's just sort of sidling up to him, and the peer just shoves him away.
Yeah.
And Punch doesn't fight back. He doesn't scream at him or posture. He just freezes. He looked absolutely terrified.
He was terrified. He lacked what psychologists call a secure base.
The secure base.
Right. This is a critical concept in attachment theory. When you're an infant, whether you're a human or a monkey, the world is a terrifying, chaotic assault on the senses. Loud noises, aggressive peers, new smells.
It's too much data.
Exactly. You need a home base, a safe spot you can retreat to when things get overwhelming, just to reset your nervous system.
And usually that's the mother.
Precisely. If a wild monkey gets scared, they sprint to mom, grab her fur, and just wait until the fear passes.
But Punch didn't have a mother.
He had keepers, but they couldn't be in the enclosure with him 24/7. So he was out there completely alone with no safe harbor.
Enter the IKEA orangutan.
Enter Iran Mama.
I love that the internet named it that. So just to paint the picture for you listening, this is the IKEA D-Jungle Skog. It's a soft toy. It's a big, pot-bellied orangutan.
Which, interestingly, doesn't look anything like a Japanese macaque. It's bright orange, it's very distinct, but the keepers gave it to Punch, and the reaction was instantaneous.
He didn't just play with it, though, right? Like, this wasn't a dog getting a new chew toy and shaking it around.
No, this was attachment, pure and simple. He dragged it everywhere. He slept clutching it. If he got scared by a sudden noise or another monkey, he would sprint back to the plushie and bury his face in its fur.
Wow.
It wasn't a toy to him. It was a surrogate mother.
Okay, this is where I want to push on the logic a bit. Because Punch is an animal, but he's not stupid. He knows this thing isn't alive.
Right.
It doesn't move. It doesn't groom him back. It certainly doesn't produce milk. Why does he care about it so much? I mean, if I were in a survival situation, I'd be bonding with the guy bringing me the bottle, not the pillow.
You have just asked the exact question that a man named Harry Harlow asked in the 1950s.
Oh, here we go.
And the answer he found completely overturned the scientific consensus of the time. It really shook the foundations of how we understand love.
I remember the name Harlow from Psych 101. And I remember it being associated with, well, some pretty dark imagery, to be honest.
It was dark. There is no getting around that. His methods were harsh. But the findings were also revolutionary. To understand why Punch loves that plushie, we have to look at what scientists believed before Harlow.
Okay, set the scene.
The prevailing wisdom of the first half of the 20th century was called learning theory, or sometimes cupboard love.
Cupboard love, that seems incredibly transactional.
It was purely transactional. The behaviorist school of thought, which was dominant then, argued that infants, babies, puppies, monkeys, whatever, only bond with their mothers because the mother provides food.
So it's all about the calories.
Exactly. The theory was essentially, I have a hunger drive. You satisfy that drive with milk. Therefore, I associate you with pleasure.
So affection was just a side effect of getting dinner. Like, I love the waiter because he brings me a burger.
That is exactly how they viewed it. They believed love was a learned behavior based entirely on sustenance. In fact, some experts at the time even warned parents not to cuddle their children too much.
Wait, really?
Yes. There was this real fear that holding a baby when it wasn't feeding time was just sentimental coddling. They thought it served no biological purpose and might actually spoil the child.
Wow, that explains a lot about the emotional unavailability of the 1950s, actually.
It really does explain a lot. But Harry Harlow, a psychologist at the University of Wisconsin, looked at this and said, this just doesn't track. He noticed something strange happening in his lab.
What was it?
He had infant monkeys raised in isolation, and they were attaching themselves to the cloth pads in the bottom of their cages. They would throw absolute tantrums when the pads were removed for cleaning.
Even though the pets didn't feed them.
Right, the pads offer 0 calories, yet the monkeys loved them. So Harlow designed an experiment that is now famous, or infamous, to test this. He separated infant rhesus monkeys from their mothers and gave them 2 artificial surrogates.
The wire mother and the cloth mother?
Right, so mother number 1 was made of cold, hard wire mesh. Basically a wire cylinder with a rough wooden head. But crucially, she had a bottle of milk attached to her chest. She was the food source.
Okay. And the other one?
Mother number 2 was made of wood and covered in soft terry cloth and foam. She was cuddly, she was heated and tactile, but she had absolutely no food.
So if cupboard love was true, the monkeys should just hang out with the wire mother. She has the goods. She has the calories.
Correct. If love is about food, the cloth mother is totally useless. But that is not what happened. The result was a massive shock to the scientific community.
They didn't go to the wire mother.
Only when they were starving. They would go over, drink the milk taking maybe a few minutes, and then immediately run back to the cloth mother.
They basically just used the wire mother as a vending machine.
Exactly. They spent 17 to 18 hours a day clinging to the cloth mother. They chose softness over sustenance. Harlow called this contact comfort.
Contact comfort.
Yes. He proved that the innate biological need for tactile security is just as powerful, if not more powerful, than the need for food.
And that is exactly what Punch is doing. The keepers feed him. They are the wire mother in this scenario, providing the calories, but he clings to the IKEA toy because it provides the contact.
But goes even deeper than just clinging. And this brings us back to that secure base concept we talked about.
Right, the home base.
Harlow did another variation of the test where he introduced a scary object into the cage. He used a mechanical drumming bear that made loud noises.
Which, to a baby monkey, is basically Godzilla.
It's a predator. Now, if the monkey was alone or only had the wire mother in the cage, it would just curl up into a ball on the floor, rock back and forth, and scream. He was paralyzed by terror. The wire mother offered no psychological protection whatsoever.
But if the cloth mother was there?
The monkey would run to the cloth mother, cling to her for a minute to calm down, and then, and this is the magic part, it would let go. Yes. It would turn around and start looking at the scary bear. It would actually go over and explore it.
That's incredible. So the comfort didn't just make them feel good. It actually gave them the bandwidth to be brave.
Yes. You cannot be brave if you don't feel safe first. The cloth mother absorbed the fear. The monkey could regulate its emotions through that physical contact.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture with Punchkun, the IKEA orangutan is his cloth mother,
Exactly.
and the monkey troop he's trying to join, that's the scary mechanical bear.
You nailed it. He can't face the troop unless he has the plushie to run back to when the social dynamics get too intense.
It's a recharging station for his courage. Without it, he freezes. With it, he can actually venture out.
Exactly.
That makes so much sense. So let's get into the biology of this a bit more. Because we're using words like comfort and bravery, which are feelings, but what is physically happening in Punch's body when he hugs that toy? I assume this isn't magic. It's chemistry.
It is entirely chemistry. It's a chemical cascade. First, we have to look at the brain. When Punch is isolated or threatened, his amygdala is firing.
The fear center.
Right. That's the brain's alarm bell. It triggers the fight or flight response. High alert. High cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone.
And when cortisol is high?
When cortisol is high, the brain is in pure survival mode. It shuts down all non-essential functions. And by non-essential, I mean social curiosity, play, and learning. You cannot learn social cues when your brain thinks you're about to die.
So when he grabs a run, Mama, what changes?
The tactile stimulation, the physical softness and warmth, triggers the release of oxytocin.
The love hormone.
The cuddling hormone, exactly. Oxytocin is a powerful neurotransmitter. It does two crucial things here. First, it fosters feelings of trust and relaxation. But physically, it acts as a direct brake on the cortisol. It quiets the amygdala.
So he literally stops feeling the physical sensation of fear. It's not just a distraction from the fear.
No, it is a physiological reset. His heart rate drops, his blood pressure stabilizes, and his brain shifts from survival mode to social mode.
That shift has to be crucial for his reintegration.
It's everything. If he remains in survival mode, he will view every other monkey in that troop as a lethal threat. He'll either attack them out of fear or hide in a corner. He needs the oxytocin to even be open to the idea of making a friend.
There's another layer here I want to ask you about. Anthropomorphism.
Okay, yeah.
We look at the toy and we see a mom. Punch looks at the toy and treats it like a mom. But again, it's a blob of polyester. Why does his brain, and honestly our brains, allow us to project so much personality onto an inanimate object?
It's a hack, isn't it? Our brains, and primate brains in general, are hardwired to seek out social connection. We literally have neural networks dedicated specifically to recognizing faces and eyes.
And the DJ on Skog toy.
It has a face, it has forward-facing eyes, it has big arms that can wrap around you.
It checks all the biological boxes.
It completely hacks the system. It activates those social neural networks. Even though Punch knows, on some level, it's not a real monkey, the tactile feedback and the visual cues trick the brain into registering companionship. It stops feeling like an object and starts feeling like a presence.
So Punch isn't crazy. He's just utilizing a biological loophole to survive his own loneliness.
He is using the tools available to him to fulfill a deeply rooted biological imperative. There is actually a term for this in human psychology. It's called the transitional object.
Coined by Winnicott, right?
Donald Winnicott, yes. He was a pediatrician and psychoanalyst. He argued that these objects, like a kid's security blanket or a teddy bear, they bridge the gap between absolute dependence, like being held by mom all day, and true independence.
They allow the child to tolerate separation.
Exactly. And that is exactly what Punch is doing with the plushie.
Okay, so the internet sees all this science playing out in real time, whether they realize it's science or not, and naturally it explodes. Gan Bear Punchkun. Hang in there, Punch. Became this massive rallying cry.
It went global. And, of course, it caught the attention of IKEA Japan.
I mean, talk about a marketing dream just falling into your lap. You cannot buy that kind of emotional connection to a product.
You really can't. And they leaned into it. On February 17th, 2026, Petra Fair, the CEO of IKEA Japan, actually visited the Ichikawa City Zoo in person.
Wait, did she bring a truckload of stuffed monkeys?
She brought a massive supply drop. Apparently, the original Oran mama was getting a little ratty from being dragged through the dirt and loved to death.
Understandable.
So they donated replacement orangutans and other plushies to the zoo.
Now, I do have to play devil's advocate here for a second because I saw the comments on those posts. Some people were pretty cynical.
Okay.
They were saying, oh, look, a massive corporation capitalizing on a sad monkey for a low-cost CSR campaign. Corporate social responsibility.
And, that is a valid lens to look through. We should always be critical. It is undeniably fantastic PR for them. But if we look at the broader facts, IKEA does run legitimate housing charity programs. Like, they donate money from sales to help abandoned teens find housing.
So there is a thematic alignment there, finding a home.
Right. But honestly, from the perspective of the monkey.
The monkey does not care about the quarterly earnings report.
No, the monkey just wants a fresh orangutan that isn't falling apart at the seams. And the zoo needed the resources.
That's true.
But what's really interesting to me isn't the corporate angle at all, it's the outcome. Because the big question we all had as behavioral scientists watching this was, is the toy becoming a crutch?
Right. Is he just going to stay in his corner with his plushie forever? Is he becoming like an antisocial shut-in who prefers anime pillows to real interaction?
Fortunately, no. And this validates the safe base theory perfectly. The latest updates from the zoo are incredibly promising. The toy served its purpose as a bridge. Punch is now actively interacting with the troop.
I read that he's being groomed by an adult monkey now.
Yes. Being groomed is a huge sign of acceptance in macaque society. It's how they bond. But even more important than the grooming, he's getting scolded.
Wait, getting yelled at is a good thing.
In primate society, absolutely.
Right.
He's playfully poking other monkeys, and they're snapping back at him.
Oh, I see.
That means they're treating him like a normal member of the group who just needs to learn manners, not like an outsider to be exiled. If they wanted him gone, they would physically attack him. Scolding just means, hey, stop that, you're being annoying.
That is a form of inclusion.
It is. He is learning social boundaries.
He's learning how to be a monkey.
Exactly. And this brings us back to Harlow's research one last time. Because Harlow found that there was a critical period for this. If his monkeys were isolated for more than 90 days without any comfort, the damage was usually permanent.
Wow. Permanent.
Yes. They couldn't be rehabilitated later. They remained socially crippled for life.
So there was a strict deadline on helping Punch.
A very strict one. Punch was introduced to the troop just in time. He experienced that initial isolation, but he got the intervention. The hand-rearing and the plushie during that critical developmental window.
He's rewiring his brain while it's still plastic enough to change.
Precisely.
That is such a relief to hear. It really shows that the plushie wasn't a wall keeping him out of the world. It was the bridge that let him walk into it.
That is the key takeaway for me. We often value independence so highly, especially in Western culture. We think standing on your own 2 feet from day one is the ultimate goal, and that needing comfort is somehow a weakness.
Right. We try to train babies to self-soothe as early as possible.
But the biology tells us something completely different.
What does it tell us?
It tells us that true independence is actually built on a foundation of dependence. You can only explore the world if you know there is something safe to come back to.
That makes a lot of sense.
Whether that's a mother, a partner, a home, or a $20 IKEA orangutan. You don't outgrow the need for safety. You just find new sources for it as you get older.
That's actually really profound. If you think about it, we all need a soft mother, don't we?
We do. We never really outgrow the need for contact comfort. We just change what the object is.
That's a fascinating thought for you listening right now. Do we ever outgrow transitional objects, or do we just disguise them as adult habits? Maybe it's a favorite hoodie or a pet, or even just scrolling on your phone when you feel awkward at a party.
Exactly. The mechanism is the exact same. We need to lower that cortisol so we can be brave enough to face the drumming bears of the world.
Well, on that note, I am definitely going to go home and appreciate my weighted blanket a little bit more tonight. I think I've severely underestimated what it's doing for my brain chemistry.
Boost that oxytocin.
Will do. Thank you so much for walking us through this. It's wild to think that a random viral trend gave us such a clear window into our own wiring.
It's always there, just under the surface, waiting to be noticed.
That is it for this deep dive. And hey, go hug something soft today. The science says you probably need it.